Heyo. It's been. I don't have a watch me. Why the hell did I look at my wrist? It's been 3 months since the last time I made a video for you guys. Sorry about that. Kind of got busy. Had finals for school, and then I kind of got busy playing Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 because they were really fun. Hopefully, by the time I publish this video, I'll actually have finished chapter 4. Um, Getting the freaking axe from the turtle guy is taking forever, but and that's a rant for another day. That's a rant for a whole entire another day. I'm here to give you guys something different. It's going to be essentially it's a mace. I decided I'm just going to kind of go with the whole entire medieval lineage of weapons that I'm going to be crafting. But there are two types of maces. There's a historical version, and then there's the fantasy one that we're all familiar with. Now, I looked at the historical version, which I believe is called like a flag the mace. I don't know how to pronounce it. Um, that one's way too simple. It has a really simple design. I literally just have to attach something to a freaking pole like this. That's kind of spiky, and that's it. That's boring. That's really freaking simple and boring. So I'm probably gonna create both the fantasy and the historical version, just because I don't know, also to make the video a little bit longer and to give myself a bit challenge. Who knows? Maybe I'll add like a ball and chain to it. I don't know. It's kind of it. So yeah. All right. So gonna go working on the prototype. This is what it's gonna look like. This is the what the kind of mace part is gonna go around this giant PVC. Well, not really giant, but this PVC pipe. The only problem is it's really freaking thin, so I'm gonna need to cut out multiple to try to make it thicker, and so eventually you can probably penetrate through other cardboard pieces. So I'm just gonna work on that. This will be time lapse, obviously. So here we go. Now, any form of bludgeoning type of weapon has existed for as long as our monkey brains could pick up a big stick that we could wield with one hand and bonk someone's head with it until they're, well, unconscious, dead, whatever one you prefer. You can even do this today if you really wanted to, although I'm telling you, please don't do that. I don't want more people dead. That'd be horrible if I find out on the news in a couple days or whenever you guys end up seeing this that people are dying because they went around because some YouTuber told them, yeah, no, you guys can go pick up a big stick and, hit people with it. Don't. That's bad. Anyways, now as for maces, the earliest documented use that I could find for one was in the 10th century in Europe, at the very least. For the mace that I'm working on in this clip, they were used around the 14th and 15th century due to how well it dealt with plate armor and chainmail armor, which were notoriously very freaking good at blocking slashing attacks from swords. Since you have full plate armor, which that's just full metal. If you try to attack someone who has like a full metal suit on with a sword, at most maybe you get like kind of either chip your sword or you chip like a tiny piece of their armor. They're barely gonna feel anything. And chainmail, I don't know if you've ever seen it in practice, but it's really good at just blocking sword attacks. But you know what they aren't good at? They aren't good at blocking bludgeoning damage or penetration damage, which is where the mace fits in perfectly. Sadly, though, the mace was fairly expensive, at least the flash mace, being around 6 to 12 shillings or $300 in today's money on the low end. Now, they could range more expensive depending on the design of them. Some had really fancy designs to them. In that case, you're maybe looking at 12 shillings or maybe 14 shillings later on. As for fantasy maces, kind of don't exist. I mean, they do, like fantasy. I don't know. Any fantasy mace that I could find of, or at least the ones that we commonly think of that probably are fantasy, those ones have a name. The mace with the big iron ball head with spikes on top. Yeah, those have a name. Those are called Mornstar maces. They were predominantly used inside the 14th century in Germany, and were very cheap to make actually, because technically you didn't actually need the metal ball at the top of the stick, pole, whatever. You didn't actually need that. You just needed a piece of wood that was durable and some metal rods that were going through it, spikes at the end that you could just attach. Now, obviously, there were far more expensive versions,
take for instance, if you actually wanted one that you see probably like in shows, video games, whatnot, of a solid metal ball, those ones were actually pretty expensive. I mean, it's made out of full metal on the top, so they'd be anywhere around, on the low end, $400 to, on a high end, $800 in today's money, or 20 shillings back then. I want you to just think, that's a lot of money, especially for peasants. That's a lot of money. That could buy essentially a whole year's worth of grain. Now, as for the rest of what I'm currently building on, I had to make sure that all the pieces that I was doing were going to fit and were going to actually work nicely. So I took all like three of the pieces that I had already made, used their width, and kind of traced it around the, what I'm going to call like the holding of the mace. It's essentially just part of the head of the mace to make sure that it can actually connect to the PVC pipe. So I measured it. Well, I didn't measure. I just kind of traced the width of the little attack parts of the mace, and just kind of trace that. Eventually, I'm gonna kind of cut like little slits in, just a little bit, not all the way through. Otherwise, the whole entire thing kind of comes apart. It's just kind of rolled up cardboard. I also had to make sure and find some way that the kind of like little cardboard cylinder that I'm working with, like as you can see right here, didn't slip off the PVC. And so the best idea that I could come up with at hand, just so I can, because I plan to use the PVC for other things later on in the future, for the other mace that I'm working on, and also just for future projects that I have, maybe like a torch. I don't know. Honestly, don't know many weapons that are kind of have a handle this kind of long, that aren't like spears, but it's too short to be a spear. I'm not really sure. What do you guys think? But I had to find some way on how to like make it connect and stay onto the PVC pipe while also being able to still be able to be pulled off. So I decided to just kind of add duct tape to it so that it could actually stick and be so it could stick and just be proper to the PVC without it like slipping off every time that I'm trying to swing. You know, that's kind of it that I was doing inside this clip. Just a lot of kind of just fixing and messing up with it, but eventually I did get it. Over here you can see like kind of the final process. I'm finally getting that all the components all together. That was kind of just me just cutting out, make sure everything that was good. And now over here, I'm finally taking everything that I have, taking the hot glue. Yes, I did end up using hot glue, because making like a fully way on how to have cardboard fully connect to each other without like any other substance is really freaking difficult, and would end up having the cardboard be really freaking thick, uh, on like one end, which is kind of a problem. But I did end up managing to figure that out, so I just added hot glue into like these little cuts that had made earlier, and just filled it in with cardboard. Had to hold it in there for a while just so it could actually stay in place, because anyone that knows how to deal with hot glue is that sometimes it's a freaking pain in the ass to deal with. And then I also reinforced it with some more duct tape that way, just make sure it stays in put. And yeah, as for trying to make this thing be able to actually hit things, here's how I did it. I mixed glue plus a little bit of water, fused those together inside a bucket, and then I got this. It's kind of just a nice little white liquid. I ended up having to pour more glue just to make sure that it does what it does properly. So if you want to make this home, you just grab like some Elmer's glue that you find, mix it in with some water. It's supposed to be 1-to-1, almost like a 1-to-1 ratio of water and glue. But you just take it, you mix it. It's not gonna feel really sticky, and it's not really supposed to feel sticky. It's just kind of supposed to feel kind of liquid. But what you do, you take this, you take a little like a spare paintbrush, and you apply it onto your cardboard. I did about 3 layers, and what it's supposed to do is that it strengthens the cardboard so that it's actually able to hit against objects and still be able to, not break, not freaking bend all over the place. It's supposed to make it both rigid but also sturdy and strong, if you understand that. So just kind of mix it around, make sure everything's good, and eventually after when you're done all of that, you get a final process like this. us. This box was already kind of opened on the top because it was an Amazon package, obviously. But this thing broke through the tape on the other side of it, ended up damaging the much thicker cardboard. I mean, just look at this thing. Look how thick that is. That's double layered cardboard compared to this thin, measly Amazon box. And bent it. And overall, the mace, it held. It held really freaking good. I mean, sure, there was some damage on like kind of slight bend on the tips, but like that's expected. That was supposed to be weak. Overall, it held up really freaking well and works as a mace. So yeah, mission accomplished. Alright, that's the end of the video. Bye.